Are you currently trying to grow a list of potential customers? Or maybe perhaps you already have a list and you're in the position where you feel as though maybe, just maybe, they're actually free seekers and will not convert with your product offer. Or maybe you're just getting started and you're not really sure what to be doing while growing a list. Well, if that sounds familiar, I want you to know that you are in the right place. I'm Dollie Freeman, and I am the host of the live and interactive show, The Product Focus CEO. And I would love to invite you to communicate with me and have a conversation around the topic of building a product focused list. That's our topic today. And if you sound like this is something that you want to do or you know someone who does, I encourage you to tag them in the comments and invite them to become your learning buddy for today's episode. So let's get started with today's episode. It is to build a product focus list. This is something that is so important if you have any desire to be a product focused CEO, or if you have products or any purpose that you want to actually generate income tailored about what you know, the skills you have, and the experience that you possess. So if this sounds exciting for you, you're in the right place. Let's get started. All right, so to build a product focused list, I want to tell you a little bit of story first, just to give you an understanding about how I have not always been focused on products. In fact, I have gotten to the point where I've gotten pretty straightforward with what my list is about. But back in about 2017, when I really wanted to get completely focused on just putting all that I do around my products, meant that I had to create content differently. I had to look at my newsletters differently. I had to look at my lead magnets differently if I really wanted to be standing out and generating income with my products, right? So in those moments, I started to look at my newsletters and realize, you know what? Things aren't looking really good. I was noticing that when I put out a particular lead magnet, next thing you know, I would have tons of people coming in and grabbing them and then unsubscribing. And then when I would send out newsletters, depending on the topic, they would get opened, especially if there were free things in there, and they would be downloaded. But whenever I offered something, I would have high unsubscribe rates. I would get comments. I would get spam related reporting. There was a lot of things that kind of were putting up flags around me. And I stopped and thought, do I really want to transition this way? Do I really want to go in the way of product focused content? And what I realized is, yeah, I do. But I have been building for years a list of free seekers, and it was my content, it was my behavior that draw on those free seekers. So I had to really stop what I was doing, and I had to determine I am going to be all about product focused content, and that includes what I do with my list. So what I did is made this shift that they're not subscribers. I had to keep calling them and thinking of them as potential customers, meaning I had to treat them differently than those that I would want to just come in to get to know me. I wanted them to know me, like me, and trust me enough that when I positioned a product, that they were going to be more likely to purchase. So in doing that, I had to change my mindset. I had to change my limiting beliefs, and I really had to change what I was doing, the habits around my business. And that's where I am today with you. I want to help you to understand there's a shift that needs to happen. It's a visible shift. It's something that you can actually put your fingers on and realize I'm doing things differently. And when you do those things differently, your audience will recognize that. And I want you to be prepared. If you make these shifts, you will get unsubscribers. But you know what? Goodbye. Don't worry about them. I don't want you to focus about paying for a list of the subscribers. You need to be focused on building a list of potential customers. And they are two different things, right? We don't want to have that subscriber free mentality. We want to have the mentality of someone understanding that you are giving them valuable content. So let's get into number one. The first way to build a product focused list is to serve deeply on your product's topic. This is so important because it's so different than what I did before. I remember back in the day when I first started to blog back in 2012, you needed an RSS feed on your blog. You needed to make sure that every time you published a post, it went straight to your subscribers so that they could then be spoon fed basically your content on your blog so that they were not missing it. And then in addition to that, if they were following your Facebook page, they'd see it on Facebook, they would see it on Pinterest, they would see it anywhere you promoted it. And the more places, the better, right? And so we're pushing that weekly content everywhere. Well, the problem is those newsletters were dry. And unless that title really is important to them, it's very generic, so they'd have to click on it to see if it was important to them to even click over to your blog. Well, here's the thing I want you to realize, that your list, those names and emails on your list are the warmest audience you'll ever have. Those are the people you need to be focusing on in a deeper way, which means no force or spoon feeding them your content. No. We don't give what's freely on your blog. You want to give them something deeper. You want to make sure that it's product focused, that there's an exclusivity to them being on your list. And it's in addition to what you have positioned on your blog. It is not giving them the content for the blog. And for goodness sakes already, don't put in your newsletter what's on other people's blogs. There's no reason. I want you to stop being the source for others, and I want you to be the source for your list. This is what you have to, this is one of the mindsets, the shifts that you have to stop and you have to start. Stop being the resource by sending free things to get those open rates and click-throughs. Stop that and start focusing on serving deeply on your list so that they see you as the source for your product's topic. This particular aspect is something that's going to grow you as an authority, that is going to influence the mind, action, and behavior of your audience. They're going to be able to see you differently. And the more you focus on the right content, the more you're going to warm them up. So they're going to go from maybe lukewarm when they first come on your list. They might be in that like stage, but the more you deeply serve them, the more you're going to move them into that hot spot where they're ready to then move over into your product, because then you've built that trust in them. And then they've seen that you've built them up in your content where they desire that next step. So it's about serving deeply. It's exclusive content. It's not something that is found on your blog. It goes deeper. So what does that look like? That's number two. Number two, the second way to build a product focused list is to tell resonating stories in your newsletters. Now, no one's going to read your newsletters each and every week if they're just stories, right? But what I want you to understand is we're in a market right now where polished, fake perfection doesn't do it anymore. People are tired of the Pinterest and the Instagram, feeling as though they have to be a certain way. They have to show their best. They have to be as good as it gets before they can actually move forward. And that's a very lonely position to be. So what you want to do is you want to take your content. You want to make sure that the content inside your newsletters, your exclusive content, also has a level of what it was like for you where they're at. You want to make sure that they can resonate with you on a personal level, right? To make sure that they're connecting with you, because what happens is When they see you being real, when they see you being transparent, when they see you being genuine and authentic, next thing they know is they're not seeing you as a blog celebrity or a social media influencer. Instead, they're seeing you like someone just like them who used to be where they were, but are now somewhere different because of the solutions inside your product. And now they're going to start opening up to whatever you have to share because they see you like them. Without that resonating factor, without them knowing that where you were before you created your product is really hard marketing. So the more you get zoned in on knowing how your story fits your product and the journey of your product, the better you're going to be at marketing. So I want you to think about how you can tell a resonating story, even if it's just one sentence or two sentences. Some of my newsletters can get quite lengthy about my stories. And the reason is because certain parts of my journey were harder. Certain parts of my journey were pivoting points. Certain parts, sorry, I had this scratch. One time I didn't bring my cup. All right. So this is a story in the making about that one time I choked and my throat scratched on a story or on a live video. People like real. So I want you to think about those places. The more challenging it was for you, the easier it's going to be for you to write inside your newsletter. So the more you embrace that and go deeper, the better it's going to be for your list. They're going to love it. They're going to look forward to that, especially if you have a time each week that you send out your newsletters. So you want to make sure that it's connecting, it's resonating, it's showing you as real, transparent. The more you do that, the better it'll be for your conversion when you put your offer in your email. The third way to build a product-focused list is to create product-focused lead magnets. You don't want to just throw out any lead magnet. In fact, you don't want to give out a lead magnet that is going to create thousands of people all at once who just want that. What I mean is you don't want to give out the best of the best, because in doing that, you're just doing the very thing you're trying to avoid. You're growing a list with free seekers. They're not product focused. However, if you focus on your lead magnet in a way that it's completely connected to the topic of your product, if you do it in a way that allows you to help them understand those beginning steps, what it is that they need to do to prepare for a better success inside your product, the better it'll be. Everybody is searching the internet, right? Everyone is looking for answers, and they have to get started somewhere. But the product-focused lead magnet is about getting started with your product, not getting started with your topic. So there's the shifts I want you to be thinking about, is that you need to be making something that gets them started in your product transformation versus getting started in your topic of your product. When you do that, you are really putting yourself in a place where you're able to then serve them even deeper yet by giving them something so valuable that they're going to want to stick around. They're going to want to open up those emails. They're going to want to click on whatever links you put inside. And it's going to open up that door for when you do position a lead magnet that leads to a marketing event. So it's very important that you're very particular about what it is that you're going to talk about, how you're going to serve your market, what you're trying to get your market to make mini micro decisions about that will give them the forward movement forward to help them get some type of transformation. And the more you do that, the more your list is going to grow, but not with free seekers. Now they're potential customers because you have moved your current list through deeper content. You've nurtured them in a way by saying, we are very much alike. I know where you are. I know what it feels like. And I know how to get you beyond that point. And then the third part is, here's something to get you started. And it's completely tied to your product. And when you can do that, You have done amazing content ahead to build a product focused list of potential customers. Now, I have something that I want to offer to you to help you get started with that. This is actions that you're going to want to take. You want to become those micro commitments, those micro decisions of what it's going to be like for you to serve your audience deeply so that you can begin to build your product focused list with potential customers. To do that, you have to make decisions. You have to commit to certain steps. You have to be able to say, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. That's what this is, the Product Focus Action Plan. You can get it at blogtobusiness.com/action plan. One word. So by getting that, you're one step closer of being able to serve your audience and make them warmer and warmer by getting them on your list, getting them warmer and warmer inside your emails and your newsletters, to warming them up to the place of when you do position an offer, they're more likely to buy because you've built the trust in them. It's a beautiful, easy step once you understand the strategy behind it. Understand that there is a straight line from someone learning about your show and going all the way through to your product offer, your cart, and then inside your product itself. So you want to be very intentional about what you're doing. It's not about like, oh, what am I going to write on this week? Oh, that sounds like a good idea. No, you have to actually have a content launch plan. If you don't think about a content launch plan, which is completely different than an editorial calendar, there's a purpose in a content launch plan. What is that purpose? Moving your audience through your content flow into your product. So they're completely different. An editorial calendar, yes, it delivers on topics, but the topics are not connected to put them through a line to your product. So you need to be very intentional about that, which leads me into next week's show. I'm going to be talking about how to create a content line. This particular aspect is something you need to think about. There's a mind shift that you need to adopt, and there's also some new habits that you need to put in place to be able to get this the right way to lead to your product. All right. Do you have any questions? If you do, pop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to be able to answer your questions on today's episode. It's a big one. If you don't have a list, if you're not growing a list of potential customers, the problem is you're going to be giving away too much of your content for free. And then you're going to be put in a place where you do not have a product to sell because you've given it all away for free. There are things you can do to make that better, but it's making it harder for you in the process. So if you're brand new and you already have a product or you have a product idea, this is something that will help you really get moving quickly because you're doing the right content up front. All right, so no comments today, no questions. Well, I have really enjoyed being able to share this with you. There's a lot of mindsets that must happen if you're going to build a list of product-focused potential customers. It's not about just those numbers. It's not about those open rates. It's about what are those actions going to lead to you in income. And it does take a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but it is something that can happen gradually. And then it comes to a point where all of a sudden it just starts snowballing for you. So I hope you become intentional about what it is that you're doing and how you're presenting yourself to your audience and to your potential customers on your list. All right, until next time, I'll see you again every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday at 11 a.m. right here on Facebook and on YouTube. I look forward to the next time. Bye for now.